Volodymyr Zelensky has been welcomed in Paris by French President Emmanuel Macron for his 10th trip to the country since Russia's full-scale invasion. The Ukrainian president's visit comes as part of a flurry of diplomatic activity aimed at brokering the terms for a potential ceasefire in the nearly 4-year-old war. Kyiv is weighing its options over a plan championed by the US, but which European countries fear risks caving in to Russian demands. Donald Trump's envoy Steve Witkoff is due in Moscow on Tuesday and will hold talks with Russian President Vladimir Putin. Well, for more, we can cross to our reporter Catherine Norris Trent, who's standing by at the Elysée Palace. Catherine, there's a lot at stake in the coming days then. What should we be looking out for when the two leaders deliver remarks shortly?
I think it's going to be really interesting to look at exactly what language and which tone, the vocabulary that Volodymyr Zelensky and Emmanuel Macron use, because of course they're trying to sound positive, they're trying to sound upbeat, they're trying to show to the Americans that they're willing to work, but they also have these red lines to do with territory, to do with the size of their army, on which they are very unwilling to budge. So exactly what kind of noises they make on any progress that they have made between them remains to be seen. What I can tell you is that those talks now have just wrapped up inside the Elysée Palace. Volodymyr Zelensky, Emmanuel Macron have been on calls with European leaders. They're on the phone right now, we believe, with the Chancellor of Germany, Friedrich Merz. They've also spoken to Keir Starmer, who co-presides the Coalition of the Willing, along with Emmanuel Macron. They've spoken also to Ursula von der Leyen, the EU Commission President, Mark Rutte of NATO, and the leaders of quite a few other European nations, including Portugal, Denmark, Italy, Norway, and the Netherlands as well there. So quite a lot of calls, which is why it's probably been taking some time. And we're hearing they've also had time to check in with US envoy Steve Witkoff, who's gone to Moscow, and Rustem Umerov, who was having those talks in Miami. So a very, very busy diplomatic day here today. All the coordination seems to be taking place. We don't quite know what, if any, progress has been made.
And Catherine, this is Zelensky's second trip to France in just 2 weeks. What can we make of that?
That is highly symbolic, I think. We haven't seen such a frequency of visits since the outbreak of Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine nearly 4 years ago. So, yeah, he was in Paris just 2 weeks ago on Friday. Then he also joined by video link a coalition of the volunteers meeting co-chaired by Macron. And now he's back in town 2 weeks later. And I think that shows the pace at which things are stepping up. And also that events are moving very fast, not necessarily to the Ukrainians nor Europeans liking. So it shows that they are wanting to keep a stake in the game and to make their points very clearly at this crucial stage. It also shows support for Volodymyr Zelensky from Paris. The way he was welcomed by Emmanuel Macron here at the Elysée. Emmanuel Macron walked down the steps behind me into the courtyard and gave him a great big hug. So showing support for the Ukrainian leader at a time when he is really beleaguered, not only on the battlefield, but with this corruption scandal back in Ukraine, which has seen his chief of staff resign on Friday.